So the one-party rule in Indiana is a perfect example of why you shouldn't vote for Republicans. So I live in Indiana and I have my entire life, and we have had one-party rule for about 20 years now. What that means is that we have Republican governors, Senate, and House in the state of Indiana. Literally, the lawmakers in Indiana don't even have to consider what Democrats want right now in order to make laws. As a result of their lawmaking, we are 50th in the nation for environmental friendliness. Our literacy rate goes down most years. Our mother mortality rate is the third highest in the nation. We ranked second worst for quality of life in the US, and we were 41st for healthcare in the US. But you gotta love the low cost of living.
During times of economic uncertainty, Indiana Republicans continue to remind us they will always prioritize the wealthy and the business class over regular people. And the 2025 legislative session is no different. Setting the biennial budget, Indiana had to make some pretty big changes because we are facing a revenue shortfall of over $2.4 billion. Thanks a lot, President Trump. And some big cuts were made. They made cuts to public health, higher education, childcare subsidies on my way pre-K. They increased the cigarette tax, but they are still rolling out universal school vouchers. Now, they're waiting a whole year, but they're still rolling out school vouchers, which will only apply to the top 3.5% of income earners in Indiana. During this period of economic uncertainty, they are still giving government welfare to the top 3.5% of Hoosiers. It is disgusting public policy. The top 3.5%, if they want to send their kids to private school, they are already doing that, because I will remind you, in 2022, when Indiana expanded its voucher program to go up to $220,000 of income per year, enrollment in the voucher program went up over 30%, but enrollment in private school went up less than 5%. Because the people who wanted to send their kid to private school were already paying to do so. Now they get to do it with a government coupon paid for by your taxpayer dollars. And let's add all of that to the BS property tax bill that was signed into law last week by Governor Braun. Remember, even if you get a savings of a couple $100s on your property tax bill per year, your local income taxes are going up. If you're a renter, you will get no savings in your rent and your income taxes will go up. And if your home is worth less than $150,000, not only could your local income taxes go up, your property tax will go up, because those property tax savings are not going to apply to anybody whose home is worth less than $150,000. It is truly abhorrent behavior by Indiana Republicans. They continue to tell us what they value, and what they value is not 97% of the people in Indiana. Republicans control 88% of the local offices in the state of Indiana. That is a stat that Governor Braun and other Trump supporters keep repeating in an attempt to justify Trump's desire to cheat in the 2026 election and beyond by redrawing Indiana's maps. They really want us to believe that Indiana is so hopelessly Republican, no Democrat should ever have the chance to win an election here. But that 88% number, as with most things that comes out of the mouth of Braun and these other yahoos, is complete nonsense. And guess what? I've got some numbers too. 52%. That's the percentage of Indiana voters who have chosen the Republican candidate for president over the last several elections. 52%. How does that mean that our congressional representation should be 100% Republican? It does not. How about some more numbers? There are 110 cities in the state of Indiana run by a mayor. 68 of those mayors are Republicans, 42 of them are Democrats. But that does not mean that Republicans have the majority of control, because you have to look at population. Those 68 Republican mayors are in charge of around 1.3 million people, while those 42 Democratic mayors are in charge of over 2.3 million people. Regardless of population, each county in Indiana has 3 people in charge of it. And this percentage of party control argument gets even sillier when you look at population. Indiana's largest county by population is Marion County, and those three folks in charge are all Democrats. Ohio County, Indiana's smallest by population, has 3 commissioners who are all Republicans. It would be really dumb to say that Marion County and Ohio County are each equally controlled by Republicans and Democrats. Each of the 3 commissioners in Ohio County are responsible for around 2,000 residents, while each of the 3 Democrats in charge of Marion County are responsible for over 327,000 residents. Republicans already have an outsized advantage in the state of Indiana. They control 82% of Indiana's congressional delegation and 73% of Indiana's state legislature. How is that possible when only around 52% of the people in Indiana vote Republican? It is because of the gerrymandered maps they successfully installed following the 2010 and 2020 census. The argument that Indiana's representation should be 100% Republican is not based anywhere in fact. If Braun and these other Republicans were being honest, they would just say, look, we're in charge. We don't want to be primaried. We love Donald Trump and we're going to cheat. That's literally the only position they have.
Indiana Governor Mike Braun recently held a town hall in Tippecanoe County where he was booed off the stage when a constituent stood up and asked him why he's expecting Indiana to do more with less, as he keeps proposing huge slashing of funding, especially to public schools and libraries for children, while ultimately giving him and his cabinet members a raise. His cabinet members are making at the top tier $275,000, where he's making $220,000, which ultimately is up from Governor Holcomb's pay of $133,000. Altogether, they're causing over $1 million more in salaries, while asking us to cut everything and take less. He responded with that he's proud of the entrepreneurs that he has hired to handle this because they're going to help us save money in the long run. So Indiana, you keep doing less. Him and his people deserve that money.
I was confused when Trump won in 2016. I was deeply hurt when he won in 2024. I judged every person who walked around smiling and happy the next day. Sometimes I can't even watch videos of Kamala Harris because I can't get over what could have been. I'm still heartbroken and devastated.
Places where they don't want to talk about consent when you're dealing with young women and their rights. Where are those places in my state? You're insulting our state.
I have 2 concerns. The first one is eliminating consent. I don't understand how we could possibly not agree to consent, to teach that as part of human sexuality, which then again, to Senator Yoder's point, goes on to the child development side. I'll get to the video in a second, but for the consent, it protects both boy and girl, man and woman. We are talking about teenagers that sometimes don't learn that they can say no. So to me, this is just, we're protecting our youth. And so I need an explanation why you would take it out.
Well, again, the school board's local control on that issue. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
But we can also do it.
But we're going to allow it to local control. I really don't have time to go into much more debate.
Who did you consult with?
Nobody come to me. There's a decision that I made to not have it in there.
And so I'm confused, though, because your expertise is not in human sexuality instruction that I'm aware of. And so I'm wondering, did you consult with any experts about whether or not this is suitable to be removed, especially in a state where right now it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 of our teenage girls experiences sexual assault or sexual abuse or sexual harassment before they even leave high school. And so I'm just wondering what experts were consulted with.
Yeah, so I appreciate your concerns. Again, this is a sensitive subject for many. I believe it may be different thoughts in different communities, and this is what the bill does. It leaves, for the most part, local control on making those decisions.
Can you identify those localities where it's a problem to talk about consent? Because I'd like to know.
No,
and I think the people who live there would like to know whether the issue of consent is somehow debated among men and women in that district.
Yeah, well, I will say I will leave it, me personally, I want to see it left up to local control on that issue.
I mean, so there must be places where they don't want to talk about consent when you're dealing with young women and their rights. Where are those places in my state? You're insulting our state.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
Would demand the immediate resignation of Pete Hegseth, Michael Waltz, and the rest of the group chat.
No, I will not demand their resignation.
My question is actually related to all of the immigrants that are being rounded up and deported. Are they entitled to due process? Or are we...
A lot of these people, what President Trump did it last time when he tried, if you seek asylum, wait in the other country, not getting here in the country. So there is no due process if you come here illegally because you violated the law. Period. You violated the law. It is violating law, and that's why we need to make sure we take this under control. I think I stated my opinion. You might disagree with it, but we'll go to the next question.
How many relatives, including in-laws, do you have on your payroll in your various groups?
You know, we hire based on qualifications and solely based on qualifications.
I'm assuming they're all beautifully qualified. How many of these beautifully qualified relatives do you have on your staff, in-laws or not in-laws?
Everyone on my staff are uniquely qualified for the positions.
I'm not questioning that. I think they're all great. How many of them are there, and what is their relationship, and what are you paying them?
I appreciate the question, sir, but I came here to do a job, and I'm going to get the best of the best, and I'm glad to tell you that
I'm giving you that they're the best. What are you paying, and how many are there?
I think there is no secret. There is a transparent portal there for everyone to see them. So
the transport portal tells me who's your brother-in-law, who's your cousin.
Well,
that's a hell of a portal.
Well, I'm very proud to tell you that I stand with my team members. They are the best in the business.
Did you hire one of your brother-in-laws for a newly created position and pay him more than $100,000?
I appreciate the question, sir.
You did, didn't you? You're not answering? You did do that, right?
I do have the best of the best in our office, and I'm proud to say Secretary of State's office has the best state government employees.
Mr. Secretary, I've been here a long time, but I've never seen such an abject refusal to tell the public what you're doing, and you're here asking for millions of dollars in increases for your office, and you won't answer these fundamental questions. I will have to vote against any part of the budget for your agency, given that. You take no bid contracts, you have a bonus program that is not an organized program, you won't tell me who your in-laws are or relatives who work for you, you won't deal with the fact that you give no bid contracts and then get tens of thousands of dollars in political contributions. So just for the record, I'm not asking you more questions because I'm sick of these refusals. And you're going to get a no vote on every aspect of your budget from this seat, and I hope from many others. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to announce our intention to withdraw this proposal.
I'm in Indianapolis, where Google just pulled down their petition to build an AI data center, preventing the city council from voting on whether to advance the project.
We beat Google. For a long time, it felt like we were four people with cardboard swords fighting a monster. But tonight, it shows that people power still reigns.
This was do or die. We came prepared to fight with everything we have against this data center, because if they voted it out, that was it.
It feels like I'm not going to have my livelihood destroyed. We farm 3 acres, so if there's no water or water contamination, I don't have a business.
Residents remain cautiously optimistic, but it's clear that the fight is far from over. This is the same tactic that a secretive tech company used in St. Charles, Missouri, which pulled down their application in the hopes of returning to the community when opposition fades away.
I don't trust Google for 1 second. We've been told before that if they withdraw on their own, then they can come back in 3 months.
Now we got, again, big tech coming in saying this is a perfect place for data centers, but they forgot to ask Hoosiers. And Hoosiers are saying no. All my Hoosiers, I love you all. Keep fighting.
This is yet another rejection of big tech secretly inserting themselves into a community, threatening its water supply and electricity costs. Well, this story isn't over. Indianapolis residents halted Google's plans, and that alone is worth celebrating.
My 6 years on the council, I've never seen all the rooms filled to the max with people waiting in the lobby. I'm overjoyed by the amount of community support that came out for this.
In a world where we are constantly being divided, everyone showed up tonight with a common goal and we won.
I've been hoping that something would bring us together, and it looks like data centers are.
Hey Indiana, just wanted to remind y'all that you voted for an asshole who is laying off hundreds of state employees, eliminating positions, and devastating state agencies and departments in the name of fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility does not apply to Governor Braun giving himself and his cabinet secretaries hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of raises. Fiscal responsibility does not apply to Braun installing a helicopter pad at his house. Fiscal responsibility also does not apply to the Lieutenant Governor's office, the faith-based initiatives program they're running, or the fact that Beckwith is awarding contracts to his church so they can provide the Lieutenant Governor's office with legal counsel. Fiscal responsibility also does not apply to the Secretary of State and the spot bonuses and the no-bid contracts that he awards, or the positions that he creates so he can hire friends and family. Fiscal responsibility also does not apply to the Indiana Attorney General, who is continuing to charge the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars so he can defend himself in front of the Indiana Supreme Court because he cannot stop violating the disciplinary code. Fiscal responsibility also does not apply when it comes to giving millionaires taxpayer dollars so they can send their kids to private school with a nice taxpayer-funded discount. Fiscal responsibility also doesn't apply to the literal witch hunt that Braun and Rokita are undertaking, wasting a shit ton of taxpayer resources so they can go after abortion patients and providers. That is just the tip of the fucking iceberg. Governor Mike Braun is such a keen businessman that fiscal responsibility only applies to laying off hundreds of regular state employees, people who have gone years without raises, people who make normal, regular salaries, the people who actually do the work in this state. Remember, y'all, those layoffs are not saving us any money. Our taxes are not going down. They're actually going to keep going up so we can keep paying for helicopter pads, ridiculous salaries, fancy vehicles, and legal defenses. Apparently, this is what most of y'all wanted. You wanted Mike Braun to be our governor, even though his only qualifications were loving Donald Trump and having an R next to his name.
Looks like all the bomb threats and swattings against state lawmakers worked, because after weeks of pressure from the White House, the Indiana General Assembly just dropped this gerrymandered map to send 2 more corrupt Republicans to Congress. Here's how they're going to do it. They're going to split Marion County here with Indianapolis into 4 different congressional districts. It's going to put the southwestern part of Indianapolis here in yellow into the same congressional district as the Indiana side of Louisville, Kentucky, and French Lick, the rural hometown of Larry Bird. The lion's share of Indianapolis here in green goes in the same congressional district as Connorsville, all the way here next to the Ohio border, and the city of Columbus down in Bartholomew County. At first, it looked like my parents' house here in light green on the north side of Indy was going to be in the same district as Purdue University up here, but they actually split it. So they paired the wealthy Indianapolis suburbs all around Hamilton County in the same district as the college town of Purdue University up here. These rascals took this northeastern part of Indianapolis in the purple and put it along with all of this stuff in the metro Cincinnati area just to the east, but importantly, they carved out Muncie. Now, Muncie, which has Ball State University, isn't in the same district as any of its surrounding areas, and instead is up here with Fort Wayne, the second biggest city in Indiana, along with these other counties that border Michigan on the north. Lastly, they split the Chicagoland region into 2 different congressional districts. So now East Chicago and Gary are voting with these rural counties in a completely different time zone, while their next door neighbors in Porter County are in a completely different congressional district. Now, I could make a partisan argument why this is bad, but I'm going to make the populist one because this push is coming from out of state. Hoosiers don't want to split up their own communities for political purposes. It's the political consultants, the ad agencies, and the super PACs that see a big payday in Republican primaries. And the White House has already pledged to spend millions trying to throw out of office all the state legislators that didn't play ball. But instead of spending all those millions of dollars here on Hoosiers, helping them with the crushing cost of living crisis, instead, now a DC consultant is going to get another Lambo. Say no.
Indiana is a deep red state, and Trump has been pushing for redistricting, which will give the Republicans a 9-0 in the House of Representatives when this deal goes through. The Senate is composed of 40 Republicans and 10 Democrats. The House of Representatives consists of 70 Republicans and 30 Democrats. In the presidential election, Trump won by 58%. This means that the intended gerrymandering will ensure that 42% of the voters in Indiana won't have a national voice. The senators, Todd Young and Jim Banks, continue to vote for federal policies that continue to hurt the Indiana electorate. Jim Banks went ahead to claim that Trump was his best friend and he was the best thing to happen after Trump imposed tariffs. The governor, Mike Brown, who narrowly won in the last election, has been pandering to Trump's redistricting plans, despite opposition from many Republicans. Why do they want Democrats to lack a voice in Indiana elections when they make 40+% of the electorate? The fiscal policy of Indiana has been shaped by Republicans for decades. And what do we see? A trail of disaster and destruction. A low, uneducated workforce due to underfunded education. Name them. Are you a blue dots in Indy? Tell us your thoughts in the comment section. So what I usually say is the trail of destruction being left by the Republican administration is a clear indication that a Republican presidency and any leadership should not be allowed in this country. Tell me your thoughts. Stay alert, stay focused, watch blue, talk blue, vote blue, listen blue, and until the next video, thank you for your attention to this matter.